Hare Krishna. Today my topic is Lord Krishna had 16,108 wives. And for each and every one of them, there was a fully equipped place complete with necessary compounds and gardens. So let's talk about it before I'm going to sing a one line for my Lord Krishna. Shama rahe, esha he paramatara, sundara esha he. Shama rahe, esha he paramatara, sundara esha he. ঝলক ঝঙ্কারে উড়ায় শঙ্কারে খুলেছে দুয়ার দেরি নাহি আর এসো হে পরম তর সুন্দর এসো এসো হে. As mentioned in Bhagavatam, the Lord entered his home palace equipped by 16,108 queens. This means that the Lord at once expanded himself in as many planetary expanses as there were queens and palaces and entered in each and every one of them simultaneously and separately. So we can see here is another manifestations of the feature of Lord Krishna's eternal potency. He can expand himself in as many forms of spiritual identity as he desires, even though he is one without a second. It is confirmed by the Shruti mantra that the Absolute is one alone, and yet he becomes many as soon as he so desires. These manifold expansions of the Supreme Lord are manifested as plenary and separated portions. The separated portions are a representation of Lord's energy, and the plenary portions are manifestations of his personality. Thus, the personality of Godhead manifested himself in 16,108 plenary expansions and simultaneously entered into each and every one of the palaces of the queens. So, this is called Vaibhav, or the transcendental potency of the Lord. And because he can do so, he is also known as Yogeswara. Ordinarily, a yogi or mystic living being is able to expand himself at most to tenfold expansions of his body. But the Lord can do so to the extent of as many thousands or infinitely as he likes. Unbelievers become astonished to learn that Lord Krishna married more than 16,000 queens because they think of Lord Krishna as one of them and measure the potency of the Lord by their own limited potency. One should know, therefore, that the Lord is never on the level of the living beings, who are but expansions of his marginal potency. And one should never equalize the potent and the potencies. Although there is very little difference of quality between the potent and the potency. The queens were also expansions of Lord's internal potency, and thus the potent and potencies are perpetually exchanging transcendental pleasure, known as pastime of the Lord. One should not therefore become astonished to learn that the Lord married so many wives. On the contrary, one should affirm that even if the Lord marries 16,000 million wives, he is not completely manifesting his unlimited and inexhaustible potency. He married only 16,000 wives and entered in each and every one of the different palaces just to impress in the history of the human beings on the surface of the earth that the Lord is never equal to or less than any human being. However powerful he may be, no one therefore is either equal to or greater than the Lord. The Lord is always great in all respects. God is great, is eternal truth. Therefore, as soon as the queens saw from a distance their husband, who was away from the home for long periods due to the battle of Kurukshetra, they all arose from the slumber of meditation and prepared to receive their most beloved. According to now, the description of the palaces is given in Bhagavatam, 10th canto. All the palaces were made of the best marble stone. They were illuminated by jewels and decorated by curtains and carpets of velvet and silk nicely. The personality of Godhead means one who is full with all power, all energy, all opulences, all beauties, all knowledges, and all renunciation. Therefore, in the palace of the Lord, there was nothing waiting for fulfilling all desires of the Lord. The Lord is unlimited, therefore, his desires are also unlimited, and the supply is also unlimited, right? Everything being unlimited, it is described here as sarva kamam, or full with desirable equipment. Krishna is so merciful. Even the cows would become moistened by affection towards him. And what to talk about gopis? Gopis at Vrindavan could not forget the Lord when the Lord was away in the forest. When the Lord boy Krishna was absent from the village, and gopis at home used to worry about him. Lord Krishna is ultimate. That the personality of Godhead was not seen but only heard does not make any difference. The personality of Godhead produced the four Vedas by his breathing, and he is seen and realized through the transcendental sound of the Vedas. Similarly, the Bhagavad Gita is the sound of representation of the Lord, and there is no difference in identity. The conclusions is that the Lord can be seen and heard by persistent chanting of the transcendental sound. So, Devotional service rendered to the personality of Godhead never goes in vain. Accumulation of God's service is never vanquished, but increases till fully matured.